Holy shit. He said what?
It is interesting how she's exposing her as a yacht girl, someone who was paid off by rich men to go and hang out.
I choose people whose lives are shrouded in mystery and they've climbed the greasy pole. They want to be famous, they want to be influential, they want to be powerful.
Meghan Markle likely spent time with Prince Andrew and Jeffrey Epstein before she even met Prince Harry.
They want to hide their secrets, and I just love digging away to find out what they don't want us to know.
She flirts openly with other men.
No.
What if the fairy tale everyone bought into was nothing but smoke and mirrors? A performance so polished, so carefully staged that millions were convinced until the cracks began to show. And oh, when those cracks split open, the illusion shattered. Because with Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, every layer you peel back doesn't reveal class or elegance. Number. It exposes contradiction after contradiction, drama after drama. Meghan didn't want to just join the royal family. She wanted to be Diana 2.0. She wanted the flashing cameras, the admiration, the legacy. But instead of becoming the people's princess, she cemented herself as the Duchess of Drama, staging sympathy grabs like some desperate contestant on a reality show begging to stay one more week. And Harry, the once respected soldier, a man people admired, has somehow transformed into Meghan's PR sidekick. He stumbles through interviews, parroting lines of victimhood like a scratched record that won't stop repeating. This isn't a love story anymore. It's a Netflix drama gone wrong. The main characters just don't realize the audience has long stopped clapping. And now, here's the bombshell. Tom Bower isn't just peeking behind the curtain, he's tearing it down completely, exposing secrets Meghan hoped would vanish forever.
To tell the truth, I spoke to very few friends of Meghan because she put a fatwa on anyone talking to me who she could. So I sent off dozens and dozens of emails to her friends, and most of them didn't even reply.
The infamous yacht girl rumors, the contradictions in her own words, the obsession with Diana's crown, one she was never destined to wear. And here's the kicker, the thing no one dared whisper too loudly. Meghan and Harry aren't rebels fighting against the monarchy. Number, they are the monarchy's mirror image. They thrive on manipulation, staged suffering, and endless spin, all for profit. Every time they talk, the world believes them less and less. And what Bower has just laid out takes this whole circus into darker, murkier territory than we've ever seen. Because Meghan's obsession with Princess Diana, it wasn't admiration, it was calculation. While the world mourned Diana, the compassion, the authenticity, the heartbreak, Meghan treated her like a template. A script to study. Every pose, every soft tilt of the head, every iconic hand gesture. Meghan rehearsed them all, desperate to wear Diana's crown in her own way.
Harry, being a simple soul, has easily changed to suit Meghan's agenda.
But here's the brutal truth. You can't fake authenticity. And Meghan's attempts look desperate. Every forced teardrop, every staged pause, every tilted head. People didn't cry with her. They rolled their eyes. And Harry? Instead of protecting his mother's memory, he handed it over like a script, letting Meghan cosplay Diana's tragedy for attention. Can you imagine the insult? Taking Diana's humanity and recycling it into a brand strategy, turning a sacred memory into cosplay for cameras? Meghan thought she could crown herself the new Diana, but instead, she became what people now call her, the discount Diana. A knockoff so obvious it burned down the very mystique she craved. And Harry, blinded by infatuation, played along, dragging Diana's name into their endless circus of victimhood. Once they crossed that line, using Diana's ghost as a prop, there was no coming back.
Listen, I brought Meghan Markle, whatever her name is, to my Deal or No Deal celebrity golf tournament.
But in the end, nothing beats the truth, the real facts.
She was one of my Deal or No Deal girls that were, she was a caddy for all of my celebrities.
So when Meghan came along into the scene, I just thought, this is fascinating. How is this going to play out?
But as Tom Bower reveals, Meghan's Diana cosplay was just the opening act. What comes next? It's darker, more scandalous, and tied to the whispers Meghan would pay millions to erase. Because if her awkward Diana impersonation was embarrassing, the rumors about her so-called yacht girl past are downright explosive. And Bower doesn't sugarcoat it. He puts it on the table, loud, raw, and merciless. He talks about those yacht days, where Meghan was allegedly seen mingling with billionaires, playboys, and Hollywood's most shadowy gatekeepers. But not as a rising Hollywood talent. not as some hustling actress waiting for her big break. The image painted is of a woman who understood early on that in certain circles, the real currency wasn't acting talent, it was charm, proximity, and knowing how to position yourself. Let's not dance around it. Meghan didn't climb her way to the top the traditional way. She surfed the waves, literally, on yachts, networking with the powerful, aligning herself with the people who could open doors. She sold the world a struggling actress story, a tale of grit and determination. But when you trace the whispers, the buried photographs, the conveniently forgotten anecdotes, it all begins to unravel. And poor Harry, he knows these rumors exist. He's not oblivious, yet he stands beside her, pretending her past is a clean fairy tale. But the reality? It looks more like a casting couch scandal floating on water.
Who she could use and who could serve her purposes. She did want him because she then was promoted from an unknown actress into a global star.
The harshness of it all is staggering. Meghan's Hollywood success wasn't about scripts, auditions, or long nights rehearsing lines. It was about access, attaching herself to the right power brokers, stepping into the right circles, and eventually snagging the biggest catch of them all, a prince too naive to realize he was simply the next rung on the ladder. That's Bauer's claim. And as vicious as it sounds, it rings with a certain uncomfortable truth. Meghan didn't just stumble into royalty. She plotted, she worked it, she surfed her way there. But even once inside the palace walls, the contradictions started piling up. If her past was shadowy, her present was a full-blown soap opera of contradictions. And let's be honest, even the most dramatic soap writers would have shaken their heads at the messy script she spun. Bauer highlights it. Meghan can't keep her own story straight. One day, she says she barely knew who Harry was before meeting him. The next, she boasts she had studied his life inside out. In one interview, she paints herself as the innocent outsider. In the next, she claims she was savvy enough to know exactly what she was walking into. So which is it? Was she the clueless victim dragged into a royal trap, or the master strategist who knew how to play the game? You can't be both. But Meghan tries anyway. And Harry? He nods along like a puppet, blind to how ridiculous the whole thing sounds.
What I discovered was, of course, that she was hunting for a man in England from 2013, and she wanted wealth and she wanted fame, and she targeted. There's no doubt she targeted Harry.
And here's the kicker: these contradictions aren't harmless; they're damaging. They make Meghan look like someone who bends reality whenever it suits her, shifting narratives like changing costumes. And the more she talks, the less people believe. The palace saw it. Hollywood producers saw it. Now the entire world is watching the House of Cards collapse. Instead of being seen as a strong woman fighting the odds, she looks like a liar who can't keep her own lines straight. And Harry? Remember when he was admired for blunt honesty? That's gone. He's now the co-star in Meghan's scripted production, where truth doesn't matter, only optics. Bauer hits the nail on the head. Meghan's contradictions aren't accidents, they're strategy. But a strategy so clumsy, so transparent, that it destroys her credibility every time her lips move. And once credibility is gone, the fall is inevitable. Meghan thought Hollywood would embrace her forever, that the royal sheen would protect her. But Hollywood isn't forgiving. That world chews up pretenders and spits them out fast, and that's exactly what's happening.
Harry and Meghan Markle will still get paid millions of dollars for doing absolutely nothing. And that's just by Netflix.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer.
Hollywood thrives on reinvention. Stars fall, stars rise again. But Meghan, she didn't reinvent herself, she spun herself into knots. And the result? She looked like a fraud, a performer chasing sympathy instead of respect. And Harry, instead of balancing it out, only amplified the cringe. He became the sidekick, trailing behind her like a lost puppy, his once proud identity buried under her spotlight. The same celebrities who once smiled next to Meghan for photo ops, they've ghosted her. In Hollywood, reputation is everything. It's currency. And Meghan's stock plummeted faster than her ratings. Think about it. She branded herself as a feminist icon, a voice for change. But when the lights dimmed, what did the world see? Not a leader, not an activist, just a performer, clinging to staged tears and sound bites, milking sympathy instead of commanding respect. And Hollywood can smell desperation a mile away. Meghan reeks of it. Every botched deal, every awkward public moment, every failed partnership, it all revealed what people suspected. Meghan's star power wasn't real. It was inflated hype waiting to burst. And when it burst, the fallout was brutal. Bauer's point is sharp and merciless. Meghan hasn't just lost Hollywood. She's become toxic, a liability. Someone executives won't touch because attaching your name to hers is like signing up for disaster. But it gets worse because Bauer doesn't just stop at Meghan's career. He pulls back the curtain on what's happening behind closed doors in her marriage. From the very beginning, Meghan didn't step into the role of Harry's partner. She positioned herself as his handler, feeding him lines, coaching his interviews, recasting him from a respected soldier and royal figure into a sidekick whose sole purpose is to echo her grievances. This doesn't look like love. It looks like control. Control dressed up as romance. Meghan front and center, Harry fading into a caricature of himself, awkward, bitter, and visibly lost.
Whenever they need money, whenever they need publicity to stoke their reputation, they'll drop another little...
Bauer rips the illusion apart. He shows how every handhold, every teary-eyed pose, every Diana-style glance, it wasn't spontaneous. It was staged. It was scripted. It was all designed to keep Meghan in control of the narrative. Bauer doesn't sugarcoat it. Meghan didn't just marry Harry. She rewrote him. She hollowed him out, repackaged him, and turned him into her accessory. If that sounds cruel, it's because the truth is crueler. Harry isn't steering this story. He's trapped in it. And when Meghan realized the sympathy act was drying up, she pulled out the most shameless card of all, her children, especially little Lilibet. Instead of protecting her daughter, Meghan used her as a tool, a PR prop, timing stories and appearances around her child's image, not out of maternal instinct, but as a strategy. A way to soften her image, to shield herself from criticism, to grab headlines. And Harry? Instead of shielding his daughter from the glare, he stood by, silent, complicit.
Then they put out pictures of Lilibet, but it doesn't. You see her half covered.
Right.
But what you always see is Meghan. So it's all about Meghan again.
The pattern became obvious. Whenever Meghan's reputation took a nosedive, suddenly, boom, out came a story about her being a mother, draped in motherhood when she needed sympathy, retreating into silence when accountability came knocking. The first photo release, the controversy over Lilibet's name with the Queen, the perfectly timed mentions whenever Meghan's brand took another hit. None of it looked organic, it looked calculated. Bauer says it plainly. This wasn't parenting, this was exploitation masquerading as love. Meghan doesn't wield authenticity, she weaponizes innocence. And that's a stain no amount of PR can wash away.
Doing an interview to offer them a platform to tell their story about why they left. And that was my number one intention, was just clarity on why did you leave? And so some of the things that were revealed in that interview came as a surprise to me, and those surprises are now referred to as bombshell.
By the time Meghan and Harry's empire started crumbling, the only people who didn't see it coming were Meghan and Harry themselves. The shine of royal dust that once made them irresistible, gone. What's left is a brand collapsing under the weight of its own contradictions. Think back. Their Oprah interview was marketed as the moment, the defining sit-down, the big tell-all that would rewrite their place in history. And yes, at first, the world leaned in, waiting for shockwaves. But what remains now? Not respect, not admiration. It's remembered as a masterclass in exaggeration and half-truths, a performance dressed as confession. Then came the Netflix series. Oh, how they believed it would crown them as cultural icons. The bold rebels rewriting the script. Instead, it exposed them. Narcissism dripping from every frame, whining, contradictions, endless self-pity. The audience tuned out, the magic fizzled, the applause never came. Deals don't collapse by accident, reputations don't implode overnight. What we're seeing is the direct result of arrogance colliding with reality. Meghan thought she could outplay the palace, outshine Hollywood, and outmaneuver the press. Instead, she's standing exposed, her brand shredded, her credibility gone, her influence reduced to what it is today, gossip fodder. And Bauer's verdict, it cuts deeper than anything else. Meghan Markle isn't Diana 2.0. She isn't a misunderstood heroine. She's a cautionary tale, proof of what happens when unchecked ambition devours itself alive.
Meghan never really intended to stay. Her guest list to her wedding showed her real ambition was to be a star in California, and Harry's friends were excluded from the guest list in the evening from the dinner.
So strip away the speeches, the crocodile tears, the media spin. What are Meghan and Harry now? Not rebels, not humanitarians, not powerhouses, just two fallen stars clinging to relevance while their empire crumbles before our eyes. Tom Bauer makes it crystal clear. Meghan isn't the victim she wants us to believe. She's the strategist, caught in her own sticky web of lies. And Harry? He's no leader of change. He's the stumbling sidekick lost in her script. Their story isn't a fairy tale anymore. It's a warning. A warning about what happens when ambition devours integrity, when brand management replaces truth, when love is drowned out by strategy. So there it is. Meghan and Harry, once sold as the love story of the century, now exposed as the performance of the decade. And Bauer? He's not just reporting it, he's ripping the mask off piece by piece, leaving nothing but raw truth and shattered illusions. Truth and